Hello, good morning. How are you? I hope you're good. We want to quickly answer questions on void marriage, void and voidable marriages. A void marriage is one that will be regarded by every court in any case in which the existence of the marriage is an issue as never having taken place before. A void marriage is regarded by the court of law under the Nigerian legal system as a marriage that has never existed, a marriage that has never taken place before. What will make a marriage void? You talk about where the parties is at the time of the marriage lawfully married to another person. If any of the party is lawfully married to another person before this marriage, the marriage will be void. The parties are within the prohibited degrees of consanguinity and affinity. The marriage will be void if they are brothers, if they are related by blood in any way. The marriage will be void. Remember when we said married, lawfully married to another person, it might be outside the country, outside the country or within the country. Customarily married or legally married, in any way at all married to another person, the marriage is void ab initio. Where the marriage is not valid under the law of the place where the marriage takes place, due to failure to comply with the law of that place relating to the form of solemnization of marriage. Remember, under Nigerian legal system, or customary marriage and marriage under the act is regarded as valid marriage. So in this particular place now is telling us that if a customary marriage per se or marriage under the act, if the requirement of the place where the marriage was taking place was not met, the marriage is void. If it's customary marriage, every custom has their rules, every custom has their whatever their laid down principle, how they give out their bride. If you did not meet up this procedure in any way at all, if you are owing in any way at all to meet up whatever that is the laid down rule or guidance or lay down procedure, if you have failed to comply with it, the marriage will be void ab initio. If it's a church that you are married in a church, when we are talking about church, remember the church must be a church that has been duly registered under the Corporate Affairs Commission. It must be a church that has been licensed to wed, to solemnize marriages. There are so many churches that does not have this right, that does not fall under this bracket. So when you want to get married, you have to actually check the church that you're going to get married into. Is it actually a registered church? Does it have the right to wed couples? So you have to make these findings. If it does not have this right, the marriage is void. Where either party lack consent to marry because one, consent was obtained by force or duress. If you marry by force, you marry someone by force without the person's consent. There are so many places that you have a child that is under the age or even an adult married without their consent. Maybe their parents make the arrangement and the person was forced to get married. That marriage is void if it can be proven to have been conducted under duress without the consent of any of the parties. Where the parties was mistaken as to the identity of the other party or the nature of the ceremony, the marriage is void. Where the party is mentally incapable of understanding the nature of the marriage or contract, the marriage is void. Where either party is not of marriageable age under the Child Rights Act, the age of marriage is stated as 18 years old for both sex. So any of these brackets, any of these where anybody falls under this, the marriage is void. Void marriage is an unlawful or invalid under the laws of the jurisdiction where it is entered. Void marriage is treated under the law as though it never existed and as such needs no formal action to terminate it. When you're into a void marriage, you need no formal action, no divorce details, no divorce or litigation or whatever to terminate it because the marriage is void ab initio, where a husband did not meet the requirement of the customs of where he has gone to take a wife, the marriage is void ab initio, where the place of where the marriage is conducted is not a registered place to conduct marriage, the marriage is void. You have to know the meaning, the difference between void marriage and voidable marriage. Voidable marriage is a marriage under Section 5 of the Matrimonial Causes Act if at the time of the marriage either party to the marriage is incapable of consummation or consummating the marriage. You understand what we mean by consummation? When you cannot have sex, you're incapable of having sex with the other party, when you're incapable of meeting the needs of the other party, is lack of consummation. It makes a marriage voidable. Voidable marriage means the marriage is legal, the marriage is valid, but is voidable, but it's shaking, it's not stable, it's not solid, it can be dissolved. Under this type of marriage, you will need to approach a court, a customary court if it's a customary marriage, or the high court if it's a marriage under the act for a divorce or a separation. Either party is of unsound mind, where either party is of unsound mind, mentally defective, or subject to recurrent attacks of insanity or epilepsy. Anything that is under these clauses, the marriage is voidable. At the time of the marriage, either party is suffering from a venereal disease in a communicable form, the marriage is voidable. If the other party can prove that there is a disease, a transferable disease, a venereal disease that is not within their knowledge before the consummation, before they conduct or they entered into such marriage, the marriage will be voidable. The wife, if at the time of the marriage either party is suffering from a venereal disease, if the wife is pregnant by a person other than the husband, the marriage is voidable. The other party must be ignorant of all the incapacities at the time of marriage. Remember, I told you it has to be something you were not aware of. You were not aware of all that I've just mentioned before you entered into the marriage. If you're aware of it, it might not actually stand, but if you're not aware, it makes the marriage voidable. Remember, we said voidable marriage means the marriage is not void, the marriage is solid, the marriage is valid, the marriage, everything that needs to make marriage valid and not void has been met. But these issues now coming up after the marriage makes the marriage voidable. They are in another word, they are grounds for divorce. They are good grounds for divorce. Voidable marriage remains valid until contested in court. It can be cancelled at the option of any of the parties. Marriage must be celebrated with an open door between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Anything that is short of what I've just mentioned right now makes a marriage voidable. And remember, a voidable marriage is not void, it is valid until it is declared void by the court of law. So thank you very much. I hope I've been able to answer your question. These are what you need to know about void and voidable marriage. To make sure that your marriage is not void, you have to be sure that where you want to celebrate your marriage is a registered place of worship or a registered place that has been approved by the act to be a place of marriage. You have to be very, very sure. You have to ask your questions very, very well. You have to make sure that the minister that is officiating the marriage is someone that has been known. If it's a church, the person has been known to the church to be able to be part of the ministers of that church, of that organization. Is not a visiting pastor, is not a visiting minister. If it's a marriage if it's a marriage in a registry, you have to be sure that it's the person that the government or the law have positioned there to officiate the marriage. If it's otherwise, then the marriage will be void or voidable. So you try not to put yourself in that stress of trying to prove if your marriage is void or voidable by making sure that you do the right thing. If you're a man and you want to get married, you make sure that the custom of the place that you want to get married to is okay with you, that their list is what you can handle. Don't say their list is too much after you have taken the daughter, because the law considers customs that are not repugnant to national justice, equity, and good conscience as good laws, and they are binding laws in under the Nigerian legal system. So you have to be sure that you will be able to keep to the principles, the rules, and procedures of the custom of where you have gone to take a bride. Because if you did not do this and it becomes an issue, that marriage becomes an issue or comes to an issue, or to determine if it's a valid marriage, those things might make the marriage void. Thank you so very much. I hope I've been able to answer your questions. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Subscribe to uh, our channels, subscribe and listen to our videos, share our videos, and make use of them when it's important. Make use of them in every step that you are taking. Knowing the position of the law is very, very good. It helps you to avoid trouble, it helps you to do the right thing. Thank you so very much, and bye.